Scorpio is not just a zodiac sign. It is a spiritual force. It is transformation incarnate, the storm before rebirth, the fire that purifies, the silence that hides a volcano beneath. While many signs are content with surface experiences, love, laughter, comfort, Scorpio craves more. It wants the truth. The unfiltered, sometimes terrifying, often life-changing truth. But why is Scorpio regarded as the most powerful sign of the zodiac? Is it just because of its intensity? Its unshakable aura? Its ability to dominate a room without saying a word? No. The reason is far more esoteric. In this video, we will go beyond surface astrology and dive into the ancient mystical teachings, insights rooted in the Kabbalah, Buddhism, and archetypal psychology to uncover why Scorpio is spiritually unlike any other. Milky Way Scorpio's energy, direct from the divine. Let's start with something that may challenge your view of reality. Scorpio is one of the few signs that channels energy directly from the source. In Kabbalistic terms, this energy is known as the light of wisdom fulfillment that flows straight from the divine. It is potent, raw, and unfiltered. It's the kind of energy that gives Scorpios their legendary magnetism and depth. But here's the paradox. Direct energy burns. Imagine trying to drink pure sunlight. That's what Scorpio holds within. Unless this light is tempered by another force, what mystics call the light of mercy, it becomes dangerous, even destructive. This is why so many Scorpios struggle with extremes. When they're not channeling this power through compassion or transformation, they self-destruct or destroy others. Not out of malice, but out of intensity too pure to be contained. Brain two lights that shape the soul. To understand Scorpio, you must first understand the two types of spiritual light. The light of wisdom, fulfillment, desire, the energy of life itself. This is the energy we want. It's pleasure, love, recognition, success, truth. It comes from the Creator, not from us. The light of mercy, effort, compassion, patience, sharing. This is the energy we generate. It's how we prepare ourselves to receive the light of wisdom without being scorched by it. Think of a strong coffee. The light of wisdom is the caffeine. The light of mercy? It's the mug that contains it. Scorpio's challenge is to develop that mug. Collision: why Scorpio is so intense. Scorpio is ruled by Mars, the planet of war, blood, action, and primal energy. But Scorpio is not wild like Aries, also ruled by Mars. Scorpio is controlled, strategic, and deadly accurate. This combination is what makes Scorpios formidable. They sense hidden motives. They intuit spiritual truths others ignore. They embrace the darkness rather than fear it. And most importantly, they do not settle for the superficial. But power always has a price. Without mercy, Scorpio's light becomes overwhelming. Think of it as a flamethrower when all that was needed was a candle. Candle: real-life example, the gift that burns. Let me tell you a story. Many years ago, I had a Scorpio friend named Elijah. He was a software engineer, brilliant, intense, unrelenting. When he entered a room, everyone felt the shift in energy. He could stare straight through your soul. But what made Elijah different wasn't just his mind, it was his passion for truth. He once discovered a major flaw in a company system, one that could have saved millions. But instead of gently presenting it to his manager, he blew the lid off in a team meeting. Publicly embarrassed, the manager retaliated, and Elijah was forced to resign within weeks. Why? Because his light of wisdom was not clothed in mercy. The truth he carried was divine, but he didn't wrap it in kindness, in timing, and empathy. And so, it scorched everyone, himself included. Scorpios walk this line daily. They must choose, to burn or to warm. Balance scale: the Scorpio choice, power or wisdom. This is why Scorpio is not just a sign, it's a path. A test. Will you use your insight to heal or to wound? Will your honesty be a sword or a bridge? Will you dominate with your presence or inspire with your silence? Every Scorpio is given extraordinary spiritual material. Not all learn how to use it, but those who do become legends. Speech balloon: Scorpio season affects everyone. Even if you're not a Scorpio, when the sun enters Scorpio October 23rd to November 21st, you feel it. You feel the urge to go inward. You question your relationships, your motives, your secrets. You crave transformation, or at least truth. That's not coincidence. Scorpio is the gatekeeper to the underworld, but not in a negative way. In spiritual terms, the underworld is the unconscious, the hidden, the powerful realm of healing. Scorpio invites us to go beneath the surface. And in Buddhist terms, this is exactly the beginning of mindfulness, to observe the causes beneath the effects. Prayer beads from fear to awakening. It's no accident that many spiritual leaders, psychologists, detectives, shamans, and healers are Scorpios or have strong Scorpio placements. Their journey always includes death of the ego, confrontation with shadow, rebirth through compassion. In that sense, Scorpio reflects the Buddhist journey of breaking illusion, of burning away ignorance to arrive at clarity. The fire isn't to destroy, it's to liberate. Gemstone closing of Part 1. The fire within. So what makes Scorpio the most powerful? It's not control. It's not mystery. It's not even desire. It's the potential to hold divine energy and choose to temper it with grace. Most signs are content with playing in the world. Scorpio? Scorpio wants to transform it. And in doing so, they often burn. But if they learn to carry the flame with compassion, they become unstoppable. Part 2. The forbidden mechanism of desire. Desire is not what we feel. It's what calls us, from the invisible, from the future, from the divine. Shooting star desire does not start with you. We've been taught a lie, one so subtle, so deeply woven into modern life, we barely question it. That lie is, you desire something because you want it. But what if you want something because something greater is already calling you? What if the desire didn't start in you, but with a spiritual spark, a vibration of energy that whispered your name before your thoughts caught up? According to ancient wisdom, from Kabbalah to Buddhism, desire is not self-originating. It is awakened in us by a deeper force. And Scorpio, of all signs, is closest to this forbidden truth. Unlocked fulfillment precedes desire. Let's flip the script. You don't want pizza because you woke up hungry. You're hungry because some memory of warmth, flavor, energy already exists within your spiritual field. That fulfillment already exists potentially, and it's calling you toward it. This is what Kabbalists refer to as the light of wisdom, fulfillment itself, a force that initiates movement, motivation, craving. It's not that you go after the thing. The thing, or more precisely, the energy of the thing comes after you. This turns everything we know on its head. Scorpio, governed by deep subconscious forces, often feels drawn to situations, people, or experiences they can't explain. That's because they are attuned to this frequency, the echo of fulfillment before it happens. But here's the catch. If you chase fulfillment without preparing yourself, it disappears as fast as it arrives. Warning: why fulfillment rarely lasts. Have you ever worked for something for months, a job, a relationship, a goal, and finally got it, only to feel strangely empty? That's not failure. That's a mechanical flaw in your approach to desire. Kabbalah teaches fulfillment cannot remain where mercy is absent. Let me break that down. The light of wisdom, fulfillment, is too pure to stay if the vessel, you, is unprepared. Without light of mercy, your effort, humility, sharing, patience, the gift slips through your fingers. Imagine trying to pour boiling tea into a paper cup. It melts. The tea is perfect, but the vessel? Unworthy. Scorpio, more than any other sign, walks this fine line daily. Their desires are deep, primal, cosmic, but the way they hold or lose those desires depends on how they develop spiritual endurance. Test tube the breakfast metaphor revisited. In Part 1, we mentioned the idea that even something as simple as breakfast is a spiritual structure. Let's expand that. You want breakfast equals light of wisdom is calling. You get up, wash up, prepare the food equals light of mercy. You sit down and eat equals fulfillment happens through the vessel. But what if you skip the middle part? What if someone brings it to you in bed and you gulp it down in 30 seconds? Physically, you're fed. Spiritually, you're still hungry. Why? Because your soul didn't earn it. You didn't participate in the process, only the result. Scorpio's inner power depends entirely on their relationship to process over outcome. Fire: instant gratification, Scorpio's kryptonite. One of the great spiritual dangers of Scorpio is their access to intensity. They often attract lovers instantly. They see through people without words. They get truths others work years to understand. But unless they've trained themselves to use mercy, the softening, the patience, the spiritual delay, they become trapped in a cycle of instant gratification and emotional withdrawal. Here's what that looks like. Intense connection, overexposure, burnout, cold silence, guilt, craving again. It becomes a Scorpio loop. Fire ice. Too fast, too soon, too deep, then nothing. This is what happens when the light of wisdom floods the system without preparation. It's divine energy, but wielded without reverence. Opa book: a story of desire that backfired. Let me share a moment from a spiritual retreat I once attended. Among us was a Scorpio woman, let's call her Maya, a powerful energy healer. People gravitated toward her instinctively. She barely spoke, yet everyone felt seen. One night during the retreat, a man confessed deep emotional trauma in front of the group. Instead of responding gently, Maya locked eyes with him and said, "You're addicted to your pain. Until you stop feeding on it, nothing will change." The man broke down in tears. Her words were true, deeply, brutally true. But in that moment, they didn't heal. They wounded. Later, Maya confided in me. I didn't want to hurt him, but the words just came through. I felt like lightning struck my mouth. She had channeled the light of wisdom, but without clothing it in mercy. That's Scorpio at its rawest. Powerful, unstoppable, but without restraint, devastating. Man in lotus position Buddhist parallel, the middle way. Buddhism offers a perfect mirror to this dynamic. The Buddha taught the middle path, the space between indulgence and asceticism, between burning and freezing, between craving and detachment. Scorpio is often tested here. Their sole mission is to walk this razor's edge, to be able to feel deeply, without drowning, to speak the truth, without destroying, to pursue transformation, without skipping the human parts of the journey. The light of mercy in Buddhist terms would be metta, loving kindness, a softening of the intensity, a buffer between truth and its impact. Direct at what Scorpio, and you, must learn. Whether you're a Scorpio or someone influenced by Scorpio energy, here's the spiritual lesson. Desire is not wrong, but it must be held, shaped, earned, protected. That job, that lover, that dream you chase, it's not just about getting it. It's about becoming someone worthy of holding it when it comes. Scorpio has the soul of a king, a prophet, a warrior of the unseen. But even kings must train. Even prophets must rest. Even warriors must sheath their swords. Wisdom without mercy is a weapon. Mercy without wisdom is a wandering. But together, they become mastery. Part 3. Why Scorpios burn people and how to stop. Scorpio doesn't aim to hurt you. They simply forget how strong they are. Scorpion, the spiritual weapon of Scorpio. Scorpios are gifted with what mystics call spiritual voltage, a kind of soul electricity that penetrates layers others cannot even sense. Their words? They cut through illusions. Their eyes? They see past your defenses. Their presence? It disrupts anything fake. That's power. But raw power, unrefined by love, timing, or wisdom, can do great harm. Not because it intends to, but because it doesn't pause. The Scorpio wound is unintentional, but it runs deep. If you've ever been scorched by a Scorpio's silence, criticism, or truth, you know what I mean. They don't mean to end friendships. They don't want to intimidate. They don't try to make you feel small. But their energy, when unbalanced, becomes a kind of spiritual laser. And even light, in too strong a dose, can burn everything it touches. Collision, the danger of direct energy. In spiritual language, direct energy is divine power that bypasses filters. It goes straight from source to target. Scorpios have access to this more than any other sign. But direct energy is double-edged. When channeled with mercy, when unfiltered, inspires deep transformation, causes deep trauma, speaks truth with compassion, cuts with cruelty, builds trust through silence, freezes people with distance, heals wounds through intuition, exposes them without consent. That's why the same Scorpio can be someone's greatest healer and another's deepest scar. It's not what you say, it's how, when, and why you say it. A lesson Scorpio must learn repeatedly. Test tube true story. The burnout boss. Let me tell you about a Scorpio executive I once worked with. Let's call her Amanda. Amanda was brilliant. She built a $1 million division from scratch. She could see flaws and strategies that no one else noticed. Her team both feared and admired her. But she had one fatal flaw. She believed truth should never be softened. During one meeting, a young team member presented a marketing proposal. Before he could finish, Amanda interrupted. "This is a disaster. Did you even think this through?" The room went cold. The man didn't return to work the next day. Amanda didn't understand what she did wrong. "I told the truth," she said. "Would you rather I lie?" Here's what she didn't see. Her truth was pure, but it was delivered without mercy. And that made it not only ineffective, but harmful. Over time, her team grew silent. No one challenged her. Ideas stopped flowing. Innovation dried up. Her greatest gift, clairvoyant insight, became her curse. Woman lotus position, what mercy looks like in real life. Now let's flip the scenario. Another Scorpio, my meditation student, Caleb, shared this moment with me. He was in an argument with his partner. The truth burned in him. He knew exactly what she was doing wrong, and he could say it in 10 words or less. But instead, he paused. He said, "Can I ask you something gently? I don't want to hurt you, but something is bothering me." That's mercy. Not silence, not avoidance, but a conscious softening of delivery. She listened. They grew closer. The conversation healed them both. Scorpio didn't lose his fire, he channeled it. Mercy is not weakness. It's control over one's power. Repeat button. The Scorpio burn cycle. When Scorpio hasn't developed this awareness, they often fall into what I call the burn cycle. Overwhelm, they feel too much, too fast. Confront, they lash out or shut down. Isolation, they distance to protect others from their heat. Regret, they miss the connection. Repeat. This loop becomes their unconscious identity. I'm too much. No one understands me. Better to be alone than cause harm. But Scorpio was never meant to burn alone. They were meant to illuminate paths others cannot see. Person Lotus Position. Buddhist perspective. Fire as a tool. In Buddhism, fire is one of the elemental symbols of transformation, but only when guided by mindfulness. An uncontrolled fire consumes. A contained fire cooks, warms, gives life. Buddhist practice right speech, not just truth, but truth delivered with wisdom and timing. Scorpios must embody this, not by becoming passive, not by hiding their truth, but by learning when, how, and why to reveal it. DNA. The Scorpio alchemy, from burner to builder. When Scorpio learns to inject mercy into their power, they become unstoppable. Their gaze no longer frightens, it soothes. Their insight no longer wounds, it awakens. Their presence no longer dominates, it transforms. Scorpio then evolves from the scorpion to the eagle, the higher form in ancient astrology. From one who stings to one who sees all from above. And if they go even further, they reach the final form, the phoenix, one who burns themselves to be reborn again and again, wiser every time. Endero. Closing of Part 3, Power Redefined. Scorpios are not here to be nice. They're here to be real, to show what's hidden, to demand transformation. But real power, the kind that leaves a legacy, doesn't come from intensity. It comes from mastery over intensity. Don't hide your fire. Learn to hold it. That's when people start to feel not afraid of you, but safe with you. Part 4. The Power of Mercy, the Missing Piece. Raw power is impressive, but refined power, that's divine. Water wave mercy, the vessel that holds divine fire. Let's revisit a truth we've touched many times already. Scorpio holds the light of wisdom, direct fulfillment from the divine. But that's not a gift. It's a test. Without a vessel to hold it, without what mystics call the light of mercy, that fulfillment becomes toxic. It overwhelms the one receiving it and those around them. Mercy is that vessel. It is not passive. It is not weakness. It is spiritual architecture, the effort, patience, humility, and emotional intelligence required to receive divine energy without combusting. For Scorpio, mercy is not optional. It is redemption. Wrench, what is the light of mercy, really? In mystical systems, including Kabbalah, Zen, and Mahayana Buddhism, mercy is not just being nice. It is an active force that includes effort toward a goal, resistance against impulse, compassion in speech and action, deliberate emotional investment, conscious delay of gratification. Think of mercy as spiritual friction. It slows you down, makes you reflect, stretches your ego, challenges your certainty. But in that pause, in that restraint, you become worthy of what you desire. Brick story, building versus burning. Imagine two Scorpios. Alex, a natural leader, brilliant strategist, quick to confront. Nina, a quiet listener, deeply empathic, slow to speak. Alex built a startup. In 6 months, he gained 100,000 users. But his co-founders left. Investors pulled out. Why? He crushed dissent. He demanded too much too fast. His power outpaced his patience. Nina, meanwhile, worked in a women's shelter. She rarely raised her voice. But when she spoke, even the angriest client listened. Her presence calmed. Her words carried. She had less control, but more influence. Why? Alex had wisdom. Nina had mercy. And in the long run, mercy outlasts domination. Man in Lotus Position. Buddhist insight. Resistance is enlightenment. In Buddhism, there's a concept called dukkha, the suffering born of craving. But there's also upekkha, equanimity, the ability to observe craving without acting on it. Scorpio is born with dukkha, deep craving for intensity, connection, truth. But to become whole, they must cultivate upekkha, the art of stillness in the fire. The spiritual warrior is not the one who fights the world. It is the one who resists himself. When a Scorpio resists the urge to sting, when they choose a kind word over a brutal truth, when they slow down enough to feel what others feel, they begin to master mercy. And mercy transforms power into blessing. Repeat button, the process of creating fulfillment. Let's revisit the mechanics of desire through a new lens. Step: light of mercy, light of wisdom. 1. You feel like you reflect, resist, prepare, you identify what you truly seek. 2. You take steps, you invest time, emotion, humility, you begin to attract divine fulfillment. 3. You receive, you accept with gratitude, not greed, you are changed, not just gratified. 4. You sustain, you nurture the fulfillment, the energy multiplies and blesses others. Without mercy, the table collapses. Fulfillment falls through. And Scorpio feels empty. That emptiness is not failure. It is a reminder. You skipped a step. Here resistance says sacred practice. Let's be clear. Mercy is hard, especially for Scorpio. You were born to move fast, to see the truth immediately, to cut through nonsense like a sword. But resistance is what builds spiritual muscle. It's what makes your power not just great, but safe. A few sacred forms of resistance for Scorpio. Pause before confronting. Ask before assuming. Speak after listening. Forgive before cutting off. Soften even when you're right. Every time you resist the urge to dominate, you strengthen the vessel that can hold your greatness. Speech balloon from wounding to healing. Let's go back to Maya, the Scorpio energy healer we met in part 2. After she wounded that man with her brutal honesty, she took time to reflect. She went to him the next day and said, "I told you something true, but I didn't wrap it in care. I'm sorry." They cried together. That night, something shifted in Maya. Her sessions afterward changed. She no longer just diagnosed pain. She tended to it, gently, slowly, powerfully. Years later, she became one of the most sought-after healers in her city. Because she didn't abandon her fire. She learned how to clothe it. Glowing star, Scorpio's highest form, creator, not destroyer. The Zodiac assigns Scorpio 3 symbols. Scorpion, defensive, reactive, dangerous. Eagle, visionary, high-flying, strategic. Phoenix, self-reborn, radiant, healing. What determines which one you become? Not talent, not truth. Mercy. The Scorpion stings out of fear. The eagle watches but doesn't intervene. But the Phoenix? The Phoenix burns itself, not others, to rise in wisdom and light. That is the destiny of a Scorpio who embraces mercy. Closing of part 4. Hold the fire, share the light. So what is mercy? It's not softness. It's not retreat. It's not silence. Mercy is the decision to hold power with wisdom. And for Scorpio, the most potent sign of the Zodiac, this is not just a choice. It's the mission. You were not given fire to destroy. You were given fire to light the way. Your power is not the threat. Your lack of mercy is. Learn mercy, and you won't just be powerful. You'll be divine. Part 5. Scorpio season. A fire for everyone. When the sun enters Scorpio, it doesn't just touch the Scorpios. It awakens the truth buried in all of us. Milky Way, the season of depth begins. Every year, between October 23rd and November 21st, the sun moves through the sign of Scorpio. But unlike lighter, social signs like Gemini or Libra, Scorpio doesn't bring surface-level change. It brings depth. Truths rise. Secrets unravel. Masks crack. Shadow work begins. This is not the season to party. It's the season to purge. To go inward. To feel what you've been avoiding. To stand before the mirror, not the one in your bathroom, but the one in your soul. Even if you're not a Scorpio by birth, you'll feel it. Everyone does. That's the sacred force of Scorpio season, a universal invitation to transform from within. Scorpio season and the shadow self. In Jungian psychology, the shadow is the part of the psyche we repress, our fears, our shame, our unspoken desires. Scorpio governs the shadow, not to judge it, not to hide it, but to befriend it. Scorpio season is when your demons knock, not to haunt you, but to be heard. This is the month when you remember that grudge you thought you let go. A hidden emotion surfaces in a dream. A truth you buried 10 years ago shows up in a conversation. Scorpio's energy doesn't create new problems. It simply reveals what was already there. Fire emotional intensity rises. Under Scorpio's influence, the collective emotional field becomes electric. You might notice stronger attraction toward people who challenge you, unusual anger or jealousy that surprises you, a craving for solitude and introspection, sudden desire to clean, cut ties, or reset your life. This is normal. This is Scorpio's medicine at work. Don't fear it. Don't numb it. Feel it. Let the fire burn what's fake. Let it refine what's real. Seedling real-life reflection, transformation in action. Let me share a story. A friend of mine, born under Sagittarius, once told me she dreaded Scorpio season. Every year around November, something always breaks, she said. Last year, I lost my job. The year before, my relationship ended. The year before that, I got diagnosed with anxiety. I smiled and asked her, what happened after those events? She paused, then answered, I found a job that actually aligned with my purpose. I met someone who loves me for real. I began meditating and finally understood myself. That's Scorpio. It doesn't destroy. It resets. Yes, it burns, but only to clear the soil for rebirth. Waxing crescent moon, a time for ritual, reflection, and realignment. Scorpio season is a perfect time for journaling. What have I been afraid to admit to myself? Shadow work. What part of me do I deny? Emotional detox. Who do I need to forgive? What do I need to let go of? Silent retreat. Can I sit in stillness long enough to hear my soul? This is also the time when Scorpio's themes rise in collective consciousness. Death and rebirth. Betrayal and loyalty. Power and surrender. Secrets and revelations. It's no accident that Halloween, Dia de los Muertos, and eclipse season often fall during this period. The veil is thinner. Spiritual work moves faster. The truth comes louder. Dizzy every sign under Scorpio season. Let's see how each zodiac sign might feel Scorpio season. Zodiac sign Scorpio season theme. Aries, emotional vulnerability, facing rage differently. Taurus, deep relationship shifts, reevaluating commitment. Gemini, mental clarity through emotional chaos. Cancer, intuition amplified, ancestral healing. Leo, shadow pride and ego death, deeper courage. Virgo, letting go of perfectionism, embracing emotional truth. Libra, balanced masks fall off, real connections emerge. Scorpio, full power activated, transformation begins within. Sagittarius, humility and truth-telling, spiritual anchoring. Capricorn, control issues surface, surrendering to emotional flow. Aquarius, inner rebellion versus intimacy, depth over detachment. Pisces, psychic boundaries tested, emotional embodiment. No one escapes it. But that's a blessing, not a burden. Woman, lotus position, Buddhist teaching, death as transformation. In Buddhism, there's no fear of death because death is not the end. It's transition, a doorway, a shift in form. Scorpio's energy mirrors this. It whispers, let the false you die. Let the old habits die. Let the illusions die. Only then can your true self be reborn. That's why Scorpio is associated with the phoenix, the one who burns itself to rise again, brighter than before. Candle ritual suggestion for Scorpio season. Here's a simple ritual you can do during this season. Write down what no longer serves you. Habits, people, patterns. Speak them out loud. Claim your awareness. Burn the paper, safely, with intention. Sit in silence and ask, who am I without this? Don't look for an answer. Just listen. Scorpio season doesn't give answers immediately. It strips away noise so that the answer can eventually emerge raw, clean, honest. Indero, closing of part 5. The fire within you. You don't have to be a Scorpio to feel the fire. You only need to let go of what keeps you from your truth. Scorpio season reminds us. The truth might hurt, but the lie is what kills. So let yourself transform. Let your silence become strength. Let your pain become purpose. Let your death become rebirth. Because Scorpio season doesn't break you. It brings you back to yourself. Part 6. Exalted Scorpio, from bitter to divine. You were born with fire. But what will you do with it? That's what defines your soul. Scorpio, the misunderstood judge. Scorpio has long been misunderstood, feared, revered, often avoided. They are called intense, obsessive, jealous, even cruel. But beneath those shadows lies the deepest paradox of all. Scorpio was never here to destroy. They were here to awaken. In Hebrew, Scorpio is linked with the word Dan, judgment. The letters Dalet and Nun come together to spell a word that signifies spiritual trial, karmic reckoning, moral confrontation. But that's only half the story. In Kabbalistic teaching, these letters also relate to falling and lack, the descent that must occur before elevation. Because what comes after judgment? Redemption. Glowing star, the phoenix rises, from Akrab to Rames. In the Hebrew root of Scorpio, Akrab, lies the mystical code for 72, associated with the 72 names of God. These names are not literal names, but energetic frequencies, divine formulas for healing, courage, clarity, and love. So how does Scorpio contain them? Because within Scorpio lies the direct energy of the Creator, the raw, wild, intense, and unfiltered spiritual electricity. But direct energy without structure becomes destruction. And so, the Kabbalists reverse the letters of Scorpio's bitter month, Mar Cheshvan, meaning bitter Cheshvan, into Ramesh, exalted, elevated. From bitter to divine. That is Scorpio's mission. They are the only sign capable of burning down their life and rebuilding it brighter than before. Fire the final choice, destroyer or creator. Scorpio, more than any other sign, is handed a terrifying gift. The power to cut or heal. The power to control or liberate. The power to burn down or light up. Their soul path is to learn one simple but cosmic truth. Power without mercy leads to ruin. Power with mercy leads to transcendence. If Scorpio can clothe their light of wisdom in the light of mercy, they don't just become strong. They become divine vessels, spiritual leaders, unshakable anchors, guides for others who are lost in their own shadows. Person in lotus position, final reflection, the Creator's mirror. Buddhist teachings remind us. The ego wants to protect. The awakened self wants to liberate. Scorpio is born with a psychic armor, a stinger, a silence, a secret. But what happens when they let go of the fear? When they stop reacting and start listening? When they stop judging and start understanding? They mirror the Creator, not a God of punishment, but a God of transformation, not a force that wounds, but a light that leads. Candle Scorpio's message to all of us. You don't have to be a Scorpio to learn from them. In every life, there comes a moment when a part of you must die for another to live. A truth must be spoken, even if it hurts. A power must be tamed, so it can serve instead of dominate. That is Scorpio energy, a soul forged in fire, a path paved with silence, a destiny written not in stars, but in scars. Orange Heart closing words from the path to Buddhist wisdom. So if you've made it this far, if you felt this truth touch something inside you, then you've already answered the call. Scorpio is not just a sign. It's a transformation template. It dares you to look within, to confront, to shed, to rise. Whether you burn or rebuild, the choice is yours. But know this, when you walk with both truth and mercy, you are never walking alone. If this message spoke to you, don't keep it to yourself. Like, share, and subscribe to the Path to Buddhist Wisdom, where spiritual astrology meets soul transformation. Each week, we dive into Zodiac truths, Buddhist insights, and healing stories to guide you toward purpose and peace. Let's walk this path together. Click the bell icon for weekly awakenings, because your journey doesn't end here, it begins here. Join the community where fire meets compassion. Milky Way.